If you are a business leader and you are sitting there thinking you don't have to figure out your literacy strategy, you will fail. There's no other option because AI is already 10 steps ahead of you and it's moving faster than you. It's like you're trying to run a race and you're near the finish line, and the finish line is moving faster than you can ever run to cross it. That's a really a daunting thought, but that's how it is, and you have to be fine with that. And so every day you have to make an effort. If you're going to be in a space where you're embracing AI, which you have to, but you're going to be a business leader that you're embracing AI, you have to carve literacy into your schedule and you have to make yourself accountable for it.
Mike's got the hat, the AI kind. Unlocking power in business you'll find. Cut through the hype, explore the tech. Every week, new ideas to check. All 10 leads us on a digital quest. AI secrets he'll always invest. Tune in tight, don't miss a beat. Knowledge groove, keep you on your feet. Listen up to the AI flow. Business growth, here we go. Cutting edge insights, that's the plan. With the AI hat, you'll understand.
Greetings, program. Welcome back to the AI Hat podcast, where I selfishly use this time to pick the brains of experts at keeping up with and integrating or layering artificial intelligence into social media, content, advertising, search, and other areas of business and marketing. Oh, and you get to learn too. Subscribe to be shown how to prepare yourself and your brand for this AI revolution and come out ahead. And now is the time to unlock the true potential of AI for your business. But here's the catch: you don't need to be a tech wizard or a data scientist to do it. What you need is AI literacy, and it's about to become your new secret weapon. AI literacy is more than just understanding the basics of artificial intelligence, it's about developing the knowledge and skills to make informed decisions, spot opportunities, and confidently lead your team in an AI driven world. For businesses and marketers, focusing on AI literacy means staying competitive, improving efficiency, and uncovering innovative ways to serve your customers. It's the key to turning AI from a buzzword into a powerful tool that drives real results. And to guide us through this critical topic, we have an exceptional expert joining us. Angie Carel is a certified AI business leader and educator who's been at the forefront of making AI accessible and actionable for businesses of all sizes. As the founder of AI in Fort Wayne and a sought after speaker, Angie has helped countless organizations harness the power of AI. She doesn't just talk about AI, she lives it, integrating it into every aspect of her work and life. Get ready, because Angie's about to share the insights you need to boost your AI literacy and transform your business. Hey, Angie, welcome to the show.
Wow, thank you, Mike. I feel like I've already learned something based on that introduction. Thank you for that.
Well, it's my pleasure. I appreciate you coming on the show and talking with us. And I wonder if you could start by explaining what you think AI literacy means, because I think it might be a little bit different from some folks, particularly when it comes to SMB owners or marketers, and why you think it's so crucial in today's environment.
It's such an
Mm,
enormous industry that without having a plan of action for teaching, education and literacy, without having a plan for that, you've got people under in all different categories and all different areas trying to figure it out, right? You've got people with fears and people with different understanding and all different levels of entry, I guess. And without a plan for literacy, it's a very haphazard and non-successful approach. So the reason I am very much passionate about having a plan for literacy and education is because that's the only way to enter into this new AI transformation age with a strategic and organized approach for everyone to sort of get on the same page. Also, to give everybody opportunity to take advantage of the technology, because what we have here is a general purpose technology, right? With generative AI. It's affecting every industry, everywhere, every job in every industry all over the world, generative AI. And we have that general purpose technology, but the only people that are actually learning about it right now and have access to these podcasts or the courses and workshops are the people that are aware of what's happening. But the literacy efforts need to spread throughout, all of the communities everywhere. And so when we talk about like literacy, it's not just about, teaching the tech or the small businesses or, it's about teaching the underprivileged or underserved in our community. It's such a huge topic that I have a hard time answering the question, what is AI literacy? There's not one answer to that question. There are so many answers to that question. I have a passion for AI literacy, but that passion is so multifaceted and has so many lanes that I'm going down. Literacy involves governance and ethical and responsible use, teaching about I have an awareness campaign for seniors and teaching them about their, risks for spam and, that type of thing. The answer to why it's important is because it's everything. There's nothing that you can do with generative, which is my lane, as generative artificial intelligence. There's nothing that you can do to adopt or implement solutions without a plan for literacy and education. Everything starts with literacy and education. And I also feel that the reason that I advocate for that is because there's no structure or plan coming down the chute for us. Like all of these models are like, here's the latest model, here's the latest model, here's this, it does this, here's okay, well, where's the guide?
Yeah.
Where's the study guide? Where's the or okay, where's the education? Where's this, class I can attend? There's nothing. We have
Yes.
nothing. And so I'm here trying to be 6 steps ahead of my community or my corporations and the literacy side of things or the education. It's just me saying, I'll try to learn a little bit further ahead of you. And so that's my goal is to stay ahead so I can, lead them and teach them. I'm not trying to know everything. I'm just trying to know more than them and lead those literacy efforts in that way. And so yeah, that literacy question is just such an enormous question. But I will answer like what is AI literacy? It's everything. It's the most important component of successful AI adoption that exists and ever will exist in this entire transformation because the rate of change is at such a fast speed that we are constantly going to be chasing our tail. And so if there's not a plan in place for literacy, or and education, and those can be interchanged, but if there's not a plan in place for that and in a constant cycle, you'll never be successful. It has to be infused into, like, in corporations, an education plan has to be infused into the next phase of the lifespan of the corporation, a constant cycle of education and literacy for AI, because their employees will have to have a f a constant learning environment that they live in, just because the technology is moving so fast. So if that
Well, you're yeah, no, that completely answers the question, and you're absolutely right. It is a huge topic because AI is a technology, not just a tool like Adobe that we can just roll out and everybody can be who needs it could be taught on it. It's a technology that everyone's going to be impacted by. In some ways, positively, we're already using AI personally to do things better, faster, more scalable than we ever could before, certainly professionally. But there will also be some negative impacts. I've talked about this quite a bit in a previous episode where I'm talking about how this is, in fact, the fourth industrial revolution
Mhm.
that we're living in. And one of the similarities, there's plenty of similarities to the previous industrial revolutions, how things are being changed across
Yeah,
society, professionally and personally. But one of the key differences you already pointed out, which is the rate of change. This fourth industrial
yeah,
revolution is happening, it's changing, it's evolving at an exponentially faster rate than
mhm,
any previous revolution. The first
yeah,
industrial revolution took decades to
yeah,
complete. We can't even agree as historians on when it started
yeah,
and when it ended because it was just so slow and glacial. Not so fast with this one. But to help you narrow the focus, the people listening to this show are marketers, small
mhm,
business owners, mid-market, executives, that sort of
mhm,
thing. So they're thinking about AI from that professional marketing lens, right? So we're not thinking on this show so much about how, individuals in the world, their roles will be lost and that sort of thing, unless they're part of a marketing organization or a business
yeah,
organization. But those people are concerned, to your point. They're afraid of AI. They're afraid
mhm,
of the implications. They're afraid of
yeah.
ethical biases and so on. They're afraid for their jobs and their industries. So how can they start building their own AI literacy in a way that maybe feels manageable or relevant to their business or role?
Yeah. I'm yeah, I'm actually speaking on this in just a couple days. I think the key is with starting to learn on your own is remembering that you can start small and remembering that you don't have to get distracted with everybody that's on the social medias and everybody that's screaming they know everything about AI. I was a sucker for that when I got started. I wanted to follow everyone and I wanted to learn everything and I wanted to do everything that I could. And I realized that if I could just cast my net and find my favorite 10 people and consume their information, the people that I trusted and knew gave me really great information and I could really understand that, carved out 2 hours of my day, or at first it was just 2 hours of my week, and consume that information and really understand it and start there. That's where I started to learn what I needed to learn. And then so I think that the thing is, we can get so distracted with the amount of information that's available to us, and it's hard to stay focused, but for the marketers out there, especially the marketers, because they are the creatives. And I know this because I am one of them. And it's very easy to see what do they say? There's a chicken and there's a squirrel
Yeah.
and we see those things and we want to chase them. And we can get distracted with the AI graphics and the videos and everything. But I could think with the literacy efforts for your own personal growth, you have to find the people that give you the most valuable information first. And you have to really consume that and understand that. And when you feel like you're in 80% there, like you understand 80% of that information, then you start branching off. But the one thing that I always tell everybody is to make time to play. Give yourself the freedom and flexibility to branch out, to learn. Even though you know you want to stay focused and you know you want to learn, you always have to take chances. You always have to give yourself a little bit of that kid freedom, like that childhood, like when we didn't have cares in the world and like always like take chances and take time to play as well. And so those, taking chances and being creative as far as your own personal growth, literacy and education efforts, I think a balance between both of those things are really important. I also talk on the value of from the very beginning, starting to create a, a, a repository, I guess, of your education courses, workshops, YouTube links, LinkedIn posts right away. I found that I wished I would have done that. I use Notion for everything basically, but to keep track of all really valuable information that I have learned with. And now I'm using Google Notebook LM, which is
Mm.
phenomenal for keeping track of information. But keeping a repository of all of the really valuable education and literacy education resources that you have found that you can refer back to and in some sort of category and tagging system as well as a rating system is incredibly valuable down the line because you are getting hit with just so much information at a time, just because it's not, the AI tools are just like being launched for marketing experts at just such a rapid speed. At any given day, it's like, here's 6 new tools, and here's 150 new tools, and here's this and that and the other, and here's capabilities. And when I'm speaking to a marketing group on Thursday, it's like the very tip of the iceberg. Here are the capabilities that you can walk away today doing, you know, and there's like 65 items that are the very basic level of what marketing people can do. And to keep organized and stay on top of that is just impossible. So figuring out a solution for keeping track of how you're staying educated is, I think, a really important component and something that I wished I would have done in the very beginning um, of my whole learning process.
That is fantastic advice, and I love your point about play. Our previous episode with Amy Walters, the entire episode was about how to play,
Oh,
with
I could
AI,
talk about play.
and I needed that because I had to admit very transparently that is not the approach that I have with tools. I never have. I need to know why I'm using it, what it's for, what I can expect to get out of it. I don't like to experiment. I think part of it's my
Oh,
personality. I don't like to make mistakes or get things wrong, which was really challenging when we're looking at things like how I'm going live and doing podcasting, right? I had to really have my brain wrapped around the process of doing live video or doing podcasting before I even attempted to record. And a lot of it was the same with me with
oh,
AI.
can
Like
I
I'm
tell
not
you
playing
a
with the
quick
video tools.
story about that?
Please.
I did a workshop for kids, and there was the youngest were age 5 last weekend, and it was a generative AI workshop, and they were creating images in Midjourney. And what I did was I crafted this Mad Lib style prompt for them. And so all they had to do was enter in, descriptions. And I did it monster themed because we're in that season.
Yeah.
And so they created cute monsters, but they would fill in the blanks. So my very cute monster has what color of eyes and the size of eyes and the hair and describe the hair. Anyway, it was such an amazing experience. There were like 100 some kids that came through there and because these kids, and I'm telling you this story because this is the contrast between the kids imagination and the way adults are. And somehow we lose that in between childhood and adulthood. And the kids were just like, we have pictures of their faces lighting up like off when Midjourney yes, generated their monsters, and they were just like, they just loved it. It was just the best day, 3 hours ever. I was standing there and I was taking a drink, and it was like child after child after child, and I overheard heard an adult, and I don't know, you might have seen this on my LinkedIn. I overheard a man behind me say, "I I I have feelings about that technology, and you're not going to go do that activity." And I just thought to myself, why as when as adults do we become to that that we have that feeling that everything that we do needs to have restrictions and judgments instead of looking at creativity from the standpoint of look how beautiful and amazing and awesome that is as an experience of feelings and emotions. And I thought to myself,
Yeah.
like, we as with generative AI, and I could talk about this forever. I actually have a huge art I have a full an art community of 40,000 people
Mm.
online that do traditional art, so I have that. But as humans and artists and what we are uniquely in human nature as we want to create and express ourselves. And this is what generative AI does for us, whether it be text and generating these words for us to help us illustrate what we're trying to say in our heads, or even get us one step closer to what we're trying to say, or whether it be an image and visuals, it's still helping us illustrate what we want to say. And that's what makes us uniquely human. AI isn't taking or replacing that. It's augmenting that, and it's the tool that augments that. And it where where in our grown-up lives do we become the adults that say, "Oof, it's just I have strong feelings about that." And I get the, both sides of the story. I get
Yeah.
that. I'm not here to say, "Oh, AI is all perfect and great." But it just made me, take a step back and say, look at these kids having the time of their life, feeling these emotions. And then where in adulthood do we start to put up our walls and say, that's not okay, you know? But I'm glad that I'm glad that I had that, you know. I could talk about play all day long. And sidebar here,
Yeah.
I have a 24-year-old, twins that are 21 years old, and a 6-year-old.
Wow.
So I have I have a 6-year-old that's using generative AI every single day to generate art, animate figures, to also use and learning his French language, all sorts of stuff. And so it's a cool I have a really interesting perspective on, that side of things too. But that is not about literacy, so that I'm completely diverting from your topic.
No,
I'm
but that's
sorry.
okay because just like, those kids are having fun and they're learning and they're exploring, yet at the same time, they had, or one of them at least, had an adult figure saying, no, 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 I don't want you to do that. Stay in your lane. I think many marketers and people who work in businesses are kind of experiencing the same thing. They might find a way using ChatGPT or Claude to make themselves exponentially more productive.
Yeah.
And yet they've got a leader in the organization saying, no, I don't
Yeah.
trust that technology. I don't trust that
Yes.
tool. I don't think you should do that. What are some of those misconceptions that you're seeing from those kinds of leaders who are saying that? And how do you think improving AI literacy help those situations?
Well, what I'm finding is that this is a common theme that I'm seeing in corporate America. You get you get a corporation. First of all, I will say that not all corporations are ready for AI adoption, and I don't just work in marketing teams, even though my history and I have a strong history in marketing. I'm working with corporations in several different industries and not even just within the marketing teams. I do broad scope AI adoption consulting, just to say that. So I'm across the board. I'm not just referencing marketing here. But I get this where generally it's a CEO that's like, we need to adopt AI, but it's a marketing team or an HR team or some team kind of on the ground level that's saying, we know these tools are really going to help us become more efficient. We need to adopt these tools. And so they find someone like me. And there's not a lot of someone like me's out there right now. They bring me in and I start to say, okay, here's my plan. And I implement my plan and it goes super for like 4 months. Boom, boom, boom. We've got quick wins. We've got energetic employees. We've got the AI task force created. We've got all this stuff going on. This is awesome and efficiency gains like crazy because we've identified tasks that can be automated. All this is awesome. So this is what happens. And this is I'm circling back to what you just asked me, I promise.
Sure.
This is cool. Just a couple weeks ago I had the marketing guy said to me, like, "I've got, like, 75% efficiency gains. I am so excited that" and I'm like, "Share it, share it, share it, share it with your team. They're so excited." What happens then is that it starts creeping up the ladder, and then you start getting people from the top saying, "Hey, I want in on that. I want in on that." So you've got kind of this like, or this is my experience. You've got this uprising because the people that are working hard, at the bottom are like, they see the benefits of generative AI. They work hard. They know what it can do. They want to learn it. They're eager. Then you've got when they start talking about it and all the excitement starts happening, then you've got like the executive levels saying, "Hey, what's happening here?" Well, once the executives start saying, "What's happening here? I want a piece of that." That's when they start saying, "We need to regulate that." We need to figure out how we can structure that and get that applied to this. We need to bring in this person to do this. We need to do, and they start to get that instead of playful, oh, let's try this. Let's make room for play. Let's explore here. Let's do this really fun activity. Like, instead of that, they start getting that traditional corporate mentality that's like, this is the way it has to go. We don't have time to pilot ideas. We don't have time to test. We need to do it this way and structure it this way. Once they start to get that corporate approach, I will say traditional corporate approach, if that makes sense. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And once they get that, then they start to say, "Okay, well, we've identified that this tool is the right tool, and we need to stick with this tool. There's no reason to play with these other tools. This one's the right one. We're gonna do this, and across the board, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna launch it out to everyone because everybody needs access to this." And then I start saying, "Whoa, we need,
Mhm.
you know." So then it starts to become like, oh, it's not so playful and fun anymore. People are like, wait, what happened to that? And so this is a very common, I guess I would say, theme that I'm kind of seeing happen because that play and experimentation is so incredibly crucial The successful corporations that are adopting are the ones that prioritize that. I would equate AI literacy to play. I call it corporate recess. I literally call it corporate recess. When I pitch my clients, I say you have to prioritize giving your employees a recess. It's the exact same thing that the kindergartners get after lunch. They go out for recess. Well, guess what? Your employees, they need a recess. And during that recess, they get the freedom and flexibility to, within the guardrails that you have set up, they get the freedom and flexibility to say, hey, these are some pain points that I have with my workload right now. These are some tasks that I really, really dislike. These are mundane. I'm doing this way more than I should. And this is what I've already learned about AI. These are some things that I'm pretty sure I could probably solve for. And I'm going to explore today and try to figure out this for myself because I'm not a consultant that can hold 75 employees' hands and figure out their use cases. I can't do that and I'm not going to. And everybody has full time jobs. They don't have the time that they can figure out that everyone's use cases. They need time to explore and play and figure that out for themselves. And, Chat GPT in and of itself has hundreds of thousands of use cases. So this corporate recess concept is just like, let the employees play and trust that they will and be fine with them not figuring it out right away and trust that when they don't solve their problems, they're still learning because it's when they don't solve their problems or maybe even when they fail that they're gaining knowledge and they're understanding what doesn't work, which is just as important with AI as learning what does work. I would actually argue that learning what doesn't work is even more important than what does work. And so like that literacy component, when we talk about play, that literacy component is play. And so there is a very important element that has to be structured, curriculum based, iterative learning, uh, you know. But the first part of AI adoption, I would say for the first whole year, it has to be a fun, like non intimidating, a carved out dedicated time where employees are allowed by their higher ups to just say, hey, you know what? You can put everything aside for 2 hours a week and you can say, solve for a couple of the tasks that you're sure can be solved by AI based on your previous learning. And that is play. That, I call it corporate recess, call it whatever you want. Literacy efforts, learning, whatever it needs to be called to be approved by the whoever has to approve it. But like that is literacy, and that is play. And that's how I approach it with my corporate clients is that kind of playful approach. But when it goes wrong and when it starts to go downhill and when the efficiency goes down, the success goes down. It's when the the control and the corporate mindset goes away from the play and it starts becoming more of what it this traditional success KPIs are, and less about just letting employees explore and having the freedom and flexibility to play.
I think that's why we've seen so many rollouts in the news that have had to have been reversed. Companies that have spent,
Yeah.
millions of dollars on, implementing Microsoft Copilot across the entire organization, and then they gotta roll it back because they haven't had the kind of guidance that you're talking about. Folks, we're talking with Angie Carel. about the importance of AI literacy and education. I've got just a couple more questions that you're not going to want to miss. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. This episode of the AI Hat Podcast is brought to you by Magi, your gateway to making generative AI incredibly simple and accessible. Wondering how to seamlessly integrate AI into your marketing strategy without getting bogged down by complexities? That's exactly where Magi shines. It provides user friendly AI solutions that empower marketers just like you to innovate and elevate your campaigns without needing a degree in data science. Imagine having the power to generate creative content, insightful marketing data analysis, or even personalized customer communications, all at the touch of a button. Magi isn't just about providing tools, it's about transforming your approach to marketing with AI that's tailor made to be straightforward and effective. So, whether you're looking to boost your content creation process or want deeper insights into your marketing performance, Magi makes it all possible with a few clicks. No fuss, no hassle, just results. Ready to simplify your AI journey? Visit Magi today to learn how their solutions can revolutionize the way you engage with your audience. Don't just market smarter with Magi. Tap the link in the show notes. So, Angie, for rolling out AI and we're including AI literacy along that journey, how can that help these business leaders make better decisions about their AI investments and implementations?
Well, I think with AI literacy, you almost have to take the approach that there is just no other option. For me, one thing that I do, I think you have to keep yourself accountable. And literacy, we don't want to go back to college. Like that was 100 years ago for me. I feel like I tell people this. I reached in my marketing agency. I had it for 20 years. I shut the doors to do consulting and I was like, you know what? I had reached a certain level in my career and I kind of felt like I had reached a peak and I was good. And then I jumped into this AI consulting and I was like, I don't want to go back to having to start I felt like I was starting from scratch again. And I was going to have to learn something new. And it kind of threw me off. I almost felt a little humbled. Actually, at first, I felt a little bit like, I'm better than that. Like, I don't, no, I'm not going to, but I have to take now, I've learned, even after doing consulting in corporations for 2 years, multiple corporations, multiple communities, big and little national brands, I have learned that I take the most modest beginner mindset in everything that I do. If you ask me if I'm an AI expert and you introduced me as one, I am going to say absolutely not. I am not because I have learned that when I started doing consulting in artificial intelligence, I kind of had a feeling like I shouldn't have to go back and learn anything. I don't wanna have to go take a course. I don't wanna have to go get certified. But I quickly learned that with artificial intelligence, the only way to get anywhere is to assume you don't know anything. So if you are a business leader and you are sitting there thinking you don't have to figure out your literacy strategy, you will fail. There's no other option because AI is already 10 steps ahead of you and it's moving faster than you. It's like you're trying to run a race and you're near the finish line, and the finish line is moving faster than you can ever run to cross it. If that's a visual for you, that's a really a daunting thought. But that's how it is, and you have to be fine with that. And so every day you have to make an effort. If you're going to be in a space where you're embracing AI, which you have to, but you're going to be a business leader that you're embracing AI, you have to carve literacy into your schedule and you have to make yourself accountable for it. Well, the thing that you can do though is like you can find ways to make that accountability fun. And you can do things with your organization to make that accountability for those literacy efforts fun. I host what I just did today, actually. I host workshops. My workshop that I keep my AI literacy accountable is called The Art of the Possible. And I bring my community together and I do demos on the latest and greatest AI tools that have been recently launched since my last workshop. So I keep myself accountable because my community relies on me to give them the updates on the latest and greatest AI tools since the last workshop. I have to have my demos ready for them every month for that workshop. They pay for it, and that forces me to make sure that my literacy, my education on those tools is up to date for them. And it's fun. They love it. They have a blast at it. I think that you can start to think creatively about ways. If you're a business owner, do that. Have a workshop that's a reoccurring monthly. There you're responsible for delivering the top 10 AI use cases for ChatGPT's new launch or however that is. You could be very creative about the ways that you do this, but find ways to keep yourself accountable because literacy and education is the only way that you will stay relevant. And if you let yourself lapse in your efforts, you'll very quickly uh, get behind. And it's just not an option, and it's a commitment that you have to make. Like you have to not listen to the radio on the way home from work one day a week so that you can catch up on Mike's podcast, so that you can hear things like this, because that's just a part of this. If you're a business owner, that's a part of the commitment that you have to make. And so I think that is just really, really important.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to harken back to something you said at the very beginning to wrap it all up, which is to, find those very few sources, those friends, those trusted mentors to lean on and listen to and rely on them. I talk on this show all the time about Paul Raitzer and Mike Caputo at the Marketing AI Institute. I listen to their like 1.5 hour podcast every single week, the Artificial Intelligence Show. And that's pretty much the sum and total of what I'm
Yeah.
paying attention to for the overall AI industry. Now, I've got other sources for marketing, but if I want to know what's happening with OpenAI as a quote unquote business or Anthropic or Perplexity, that's where I'm getting my information. And I'm not trying to read everything else and keep up with everything else because I've determined early on in my journey, that's the sum and total of what I need to be
Yeah.
successful from the overall industry. And then I've got a few other sources for everything else. So I
Yeah,
appreciate you sharing
it
that.
gets real easy to get overwhelmed and those dangling carrots. It
Mm.
gets really easy. And I do wanna say, though, I was at MACON
Yeah.
in October, and I talked to Andy Sack for a little bit. And I do wanna say, though, just as a kind of a sidebar here, it does get really easy to get overwhelmed and
Yeah.
just of that. And you do wanna follow just your kind of you wanna have people in your periphery because you wanna make sure that you have those. But I said to Andy, like, "Oh my gosh, like, what am I doing?" He just when I think I've got it figured out, I'm just like, "Oof, what the heck?" And, he's been in this for ever, and he's a leader, and he's, gosh, he's one of the I and that's a great our AI journey, absolutely 100% recommended. I join their talk every month, just absolutely awesome. Anyway, he's just icon, and I was talking to him, and I'm like, "What do I do? What's the advice you could give me?" And I'm like, "How do I figure things out?" And he's like, "What? What?" And I'm like, "How do I figure things out?" And he's like, "I don't know what the I'm doing." And I'm like, "Huh?"
That's
"Huh?"
what you wanna hear.
And he's like, you don't have to figure it out." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And he said, "Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing." And I'm like, "Oh." And I'm like, "Well, what advice do you have to give me?" And he's like, "Just live in the chaos and breathe." And I was like, "Huh, huh, oh, yes, 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 there. That is it." Because you know what? That takes me back then to that beginner, always be in your I'm learning, I'm in a beginner's mindset. You will never be an expert. No one will. Even the people that develop this technology don't know what's happening under the hood. Nobody knows how it's working. No one's an expert. So don't try to be an expert. Don't go on LinkedIn saying, here's how you can make $50,000 an hour. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Have that beginner's mindset and be like Andy and just say, "I don't got it figured out. I don't have it figured out." Follow those people that you trust and that's real world people like you're doing with this podcast. Talk to real world people that give you real world advice, not glitz and glamour, and then get that 2 nuggets that you can take with you and that can give you real results, just little bits, and then go with those. But when Andy said that, it was like a light bulb moment. Like, yeah, my life is so chaotic. I love every second of it. I love the chaos and I'm breathing and I am fine with that. And so that's it will settle. I'm seeing and I will say this too. I have been passionate about the literacy efforts and I have been carving out a new structure, but for it took me 2 years to sift through what I'm doing, and I am in the next year, I have formulated an AI first business that I'm doing literacy workshops, and it will be AI from the ground up. It took me 2 years to figure out what the heck I was doing to build an AI first, and I've been consulting people, but it takes a couple years to sort through everything and figure it out. The reason I built a whole new consultancy was so that this time around I could build it AI from the ground up. And I did have to build a whole new business to do that. But after a couple years of doing chaos in the midst of all of the stuff, I did figure it out, and you do figure it out. You just have to stay the course. And so I think that that's the key is just stay in the chaos. Just stay there, keep learning, be okay with that, and beginner's mindset and just breathe. And I just
And
loved
breathe.
that. And make sure you breathe because if you don't, then it's
Gotta
the
breathe.
end. It's just gotta breathe. But yeah, that beginner
Yeah.
mindset with the literacy, play and never think you know. And that's it. That's all. You know what? If you had asked me in the beginning of this podcast, what are the 2 things people need to know? And I said, beginner's mindset and play, we could have ended the entire podcast. That's all there is.
Sorry, folks, it's too late. You're already 50 minutes in, but this has been great, Angie. This is terrific advice to end on. For folks who do want to know more about you, they want to connect with you, where can they go?
I would say that the best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn. It's just at Angie Carel. See, now so many people mispronounce my name that I actually mispronounce it. And it's just Angie, AngieCarel.com. Check out my website, my new consultancy that's launching next year, which will be workshop based AI literacy consulting, which will have online components to it, will be called Co Crafted. And the soft launch for that is in December of this year. And then that will officially launch in January of next year. I'm really excited. I will be posting some more about that on LinkedIn in the next couple months.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Angie. We'll have all those links in the show notes below. Thank you, all of you, for listening. That's all the time we've got for today, friends. But if this is your first foray into the world of AI and marketing, I've got the perfect resource for you in the show notes below. That AI marketing primer, I've talked about it before. It's designed to quickly get you up to speed on all the terms and the tactics and the underlying technology that's powering this AI revolution. Check it out, and I will see you in our next episode. Welcome to the grid. That's a wrap on another episode of the AI Hat Podcast. I hope you gained some valuable insights and actionable strategies to boost your business with AI. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your network. And don't forget to visit theaihat.com for more resources and to connect with me. Until next time, keep innovating and remember, the future of business is human and it's powered by AI.